Lorenzo walks into class with his home language still echoing in his mind. Words from breakfast, from his family, from the world he knows best. He sits down, listens carefully, and tries to track what's happening. But his name is mispronounced during attendance. No one asks about where he is from. The books and examples in class don't sound like his life. Nothing in the room tells him, you belong here. Small interactions add up. They can either shrink a student's voice or make it stronger. Now imagine a different day. Lorenzo walks in and hears his name spoken correctly, with practice and intention. His teacher asks how his weekend was, or how to say a word in Spanish. A classmate turns and says, "You should tell that story you shared yesterday." The lesson includes a character who speaks like his family. Same student, same school, same standard. The difference is how seen he feels when he walks through the door. In this new version of school, Lorenzo is learning English, but also developing confidence and belonging. That's the power of relationships, especially for multilingual learners. Research links strong teacher-student relationships with higher engagement, better attendance, and gains in academic achievement, especially for students who have been historically marginalized. When students feel known, they take more risks. They're more willing to raise a hand, try a new word, ask for help, or share a story. Trust turns the classroom from a place of constant evaluation into a community where it's safe to try, stumble, and try again. And for students whose language and culture haven't always been welcomed in school, those relationships flip the script and open up a space for them. In schools where this is taken seriously, you can feel it right away. Hallways are full of small greetings. Teachers know how to say students' names. Staff members recognize families. Classrooms sound like more than one language, and that's seen as a strength, not a problem. But what does it actually take to build those relationships day to day? 1. It takes knowledge and structure. But don't worry, it isn't as broad and abstract as it sounds. For example, knowledge sometimes starts with something as simple as a name. When a teacher takes the time to ask, "Can you teach me how to say it the way your family says it?" they're showing respect and care. Feel free to even write a phonetic version of the name on your roster or sticky note, so you keep getting it right. When you do this, it's a tiny moment that tells a student, you don't have to shrink yourself to fit in here. 2. It also looks like genuine curiosity. Teachers who ask, "What languages do you speak at home?" Or, "What holidays does your family celebrate?" are opening doors. It's a way to gather pieces of students' lives that they can later weave into examples, discussions, and connections. Of course, consider adding boundaries, keeping questions open and options, and let students share only what they're comfortable sharing. Over time, those conversations show up in the work. Maybe a writing prompt invites students to tell a story from their childhood, and they're allowed to draft in their home language first. Maybe a science teacher uses examples from students' home countries when discussing weather or ecosystems. Maybe a social studies project includes interviewing family members about migration, jobs, or traditions. You don't have to redesign your whole curriculum. Aim for 1 or 2 intentional connections per unit where students' languages or experiences show up in the content. The point is to make sure students see that their culture and language are welcome in the learning. 3. Relationships also grow through structure. When teachers regularly use partner talk, small group discussions, or community circles, they create safe spaces for multilingual learners to speak, even if their English is still developing. Predictable routines make it safer for multilingual learners to speak because they know what's coming and what's expected. In a circle, a student might share one sentence about something that made them smile that week. In a pair, they might practice explaining an idea before sharing with the whole class. Those small, repeated chances to talk and be heard help build confidence. And then there are the quick check-ins that don't seem like instruction at all. A teacher greeting students at the door, a spontaneous conversation about soccer, music, or a favorite food, or even a quiet, "You seemed tired today. Everything okay?" None of these moments are graded, but somehow they're still the glue that holds a relationship together. Of course, this isn't always easy. There are many challenges teachers already know, and fear will get into the way of these culturally nuanced relationships. For starters, their schedule. Teachers are busy. There are lessons to plan, papers to grade, emails to answer. It can feel like there's no time left for extras. But attending to multilingual learners isn't extra. For them, relationships are part of the scaffolding that makes rigorous academic work possible. Many teachers start with a 2-minute routine at the start or end of class devoted to connection, a question of the day, a quick check-in, or a student shout-out. School leaders can change this because relationships create the conditions that make all the academic work possible, but they don't require dramatic, time-consuming gestures. They grow from small, consistent habits done over and over again. Another challenge is fear of getting it wrong. Many educators worry, what if I mispronounce a name again? What if I ask something that feels insensitive? What if I don't understand their culture well enough? The good news is that students aren't expecting perfection, but authenticity. It's okay to say, I'm still learning, can you help me with this? Or, if I ever say your name wrong, please correct me. Humility and openness can build just as much trust as knowledge. This is also a space to model how to repair mistakes. I'm sorry I said that wrong. Thank you for correcting me. Students will learn that it's okay to learn out loud. And then there's the reality of very diverse classrooms. In some schools, there may be 5, 10, or even more home languages in one room. No one teacher can become an expert in all of them. But what is possible is making sure every student has moments of connection, rotating who you check in with, structuring activities so quieter students have smaller spaces to talk, and making sure each learner has at least one adult who truly knows them. Simple moves like displaying a multilingual welcome poster, inviting students to label a class object in their language, or creating a language map of the class can signal that every language is valued, even if you don't speak it. Take a moment and think about a student whose attitude improved after getting to know them a little bit better. You probably already know it. When relationships are real and sustained, it shows. You'll see students who feel comfortable asking, "Can I say this in Arabic first?" Or, "How do you say this word in English?" You'll see group discussions where more voices enter the conversation. You'll see fewer shutdown moments and more let me try moments. And you'll feel it too. Classrooms with strong relationships feel calmer, warmer, more human. Teachers often say they rediscover why they came into education in the first place. So if you're wondering where to start, it doesn't have to be complicated. Right now, picture one multilingual student you see regularly, maybe in your class, hallway, or program. On a scale from 1 to 5, how well do you really know them beyond grades and behavior? Write down the name of that student and the one action you'll try this week. When we write it down, we're more likely to actually do it. Then choose one small step from the ideas we mentioned before, like learning and practicing their name the way their family says it, asking about the languages they speak at home, inviting them to teach the class a word in their language, or checking in about something that matters to them outside of school. Over time, those small steps add up and build trust and safety. When multilingual students feel truly seen, they bring more of themselves to the learning. And that's where the real transformation begins. If you want more insights for crafting deeper and more trusting relationships with multilingual learners, visit the link in the description to read the full article on our website. Become part of the Ensemble learning community by sharing below. What are some everyday ways you stay connected to your students? And don't forget to subscribe for more educator insights and share this video with a colleague who's passionate about helping multilingual learners thrive. Together, we can create classrooms where every student feels connected to their environment and confident enough to speak up and learn.